130. And the futures were starting to really get jiggy. And then they just got better and better. Why is that? Because it's all from Japan. We are now starting to think maybe it was a one-day glitch. There's obviously worries. Nothing's going wrong systemically, but we do have a problem with consumer. More on that in a second. But we are tied with Japan. And when the yen went up, believe it or not, we went up with it. Now, should that be happening? Everything is connected in the world. So it's entirely possible that trillions of dollars are run basically in this fashion of really borrowing against Japanese bonds. So what you're up against is a market that is not being driven by the United States, being driven by Japan. Now, in the interim, I can make certain generalizations that I think matter tremendously. For instance, last night we got a series of reports that were very strong, as I mentioned in Mad Money. This morning, the opposite. We had TripAdvisor not that strong. We had Airbnb not that strong. That came out really late last night. And most importantly, let's talk Disney. All right, now I spent a lot of time on Disney. And the main reason why I had been reluctant to recommend Disney after we sold it, half of it when it was at 120, was because I felt that we were going to get hurt by streaming, because streaming had been a black hole. Suddenly, streaming has come bouncing back. And that's really what matters. Now, instead, people are focusing on theme park weakness. I was using low, mid-single-digit decline theme park weakness. Why? Because Comcast had double-digit decline theme park weakness, and there was no way you could get a read-through that said that Universal Parks was going to be much better or worse. Probably, I think that I felt it would be similar to Disney. So if I did that, then I would say that I'm not shocked at all by the fact that Disney did not have good theme park attendance, particularly because we know that travel, other than cruise travel, has been not that great. So I think Disney is a point-blank buy here, okay? I want to make that point that if we were not frozen, had I not talked about it, it is a buy. And I want to make that point. Hey, by the way, let's go over some of the other buys. I'm going back and forth in real time. This is the way Jeff and I do not make any decisions separate. Forgive me for doing it, but we don't make any decisions separate from each other. And he's not here today. And I suggested, just so you know, we're going to bat these back and forth as soon as the meeting's over. I can't necessarily be sure that we're going to do these. I've said that AMD is a buy. AMD is winning against Intel in the low end. And if Blackwell really is late, as we heard from Supermicro, which said it won't really ship to the first quarter, that's a great opportunity for AMD to get fourth quarter business. So I feel strongly that you want to be involved buying AMD right here. I also suggested that I remember buy Disney, but we can't because we're restricted. I felt that this was an excellent opportunity to pick up some, you get it, some Wells Fargo, which is down a great deal, and I think is very interesting. And I think that the bank stocks were hit abnormally from what was going on in Japan, and now they're going to do better. By the way, just so you know, I'm looking for the VIX, which is at 21 -3 today. If that goes under 20, then even what we said last night about the VIX will verify that this market has some staying power, that the bounce has some staying power. I wish we're more oversold. We're going to put some money to work, not a lot of money to work. And I am worried about some things. So what I wanted to do, and I told Jeff, I felt we should trim some Abbott. Abbott is now up 12 straight points. And I don't think that that's necessarily a place to be. If it's up 12 straight points, you still have another lawsuit that they're going to lose. And I think that that's really, it should be on people's minds. Now, Lilly is on people's minds because Amgen said that maybe their drug will be, let's say they didn't give me any confidence that their anti-obesity drug is going to be that good. Novo Nordisk, it was just bad. Now, Novo Nordisk only gives you about a 15% weight loss with their Wegovy. The Mounjaro from Eli Lilly gives you about 20%. That said, what we're seeing is a decline in pricing across the board as there is competition, and that is going to pull down the stock of Eli Lilly when they report tomorrow. I want to tell you, I don't think that that's necessarily the end of the world. We've been saying it. If it really comes down hard, we might be tempted to buy some because of what is very good news when it comes to their anti-Alzheimer's drugs. So there's a lot to like with Eli Lilly, and I certainly wouldn't abandon it, but I am trying to soften the beach so much for you to recognize that the stock is down and could go down even more when they report, because there is not a price war, but there is a sense that they're all being pitted against each other. The positive news, by the way, is that Amgen's really not ready. And I was more concerned about Amgen because they're rumored to have both a pill and a shot that you don't have to take every week. So Amgen being delayed, which is my word, versus what the other guys are doing, Novo and Lilly, makes me like Lilly more. Let's talk about the problems with Supermicro. Supermicro makes the racks. Let's say you want to order something from NVIDIA, Blackwell or the 2000 or the H200. You can't just order from NVIDIA. Consider Supermicro a wholesaler for their product. They install it, as does Dell, as does HPE. The numbers last time Supermicro, the revenues were good. The profit margins were terrible. Now, why is that? We understand that there's a hyperscaler, and there are only a few hyperscalers rumored to be Meta, by the way, put a lot of pressure on them to get a lot of stuff done, and that hurt their margins. It was not a sign of weakness overall. And I did think that Charles Liang, who runs the company, said some good things about the fact that the H100 and H200, those are the below Blackwell chips for NVIDIA, were selling very well. High margin product. Made me feel better about NVIDIA. And so I like that. By the way, Enphase Energy is making me feel better about Nextracker, which is, remember, our solar company that is industrial solar that would no doubt do better with both presidents, but would certainly do better, as we know, with the Democrats. No comment on walls because it doesn't fit into my thinking either way. I want to go over what I think is a couple of things that you need to be aware of. Airbnb had a big disappointment. That, again, is the travel situation that alludes to Disney. CVS reported good numbers in its front of the store, even though its healthcare benefits wasn't that good. I think that's interesting. But more interesting, they are going to sell, they're closing on 900 stores. Believe it or not, that's very good for Amazon because Amazon's shipping a lot of smaller toiletries and staples, and a lot of that's coming out of the hide of CVS. If a CVS closes, then it's entirely possible that Amgen may be the only drugstore available. Keep that in mind. I think it's important. Reddit reported last night, and I thought Reddit was good. Obviously, I'm not in agreement. I'm not where everybody else is, but if Reddit is weak, so you have Reddit and you have Pinterest and you have Snap all doing badly, this is becoming a winner-take-all, loser-take-none game. Those are the things I'm really on the lookout for. And the winner is Meta. I really think that you've got to stay in Meta. I think Meta is a really good situation. As, by the way, do I think Palo Alto from the read-through of Fortinet. They are competitors. The fact that they had good business is not necessarily that it's taking shares. My sources tell me from Palo Alto. Palo Alto remains a strong buy for me. I think it's terrific. Once again, I'm looking at companies related to travel that I didn't feel at all I didn't feel good about Lyft. They missed the backlog. Some people say, well, look, the reason why you shouldn't feel good about Lyft is because we know that, it's entirely possible that they're getting beat very badly by Uber. I can't tell. Barclays had a very negative piece about retail, but they still liked Gap, Urban, and Dick's. I want to point out they should have been liking TJX. That's the strongest in the group. And then Mag 7, there's a piece this morning that I read that talked about how they don't have significant downside from here. And again, said Meta's the standout. So let me just leave on the notion of what's going on with Meta as I see it. Meta has I think they have the lion's share of what we see that NVIDIA makes. You need that in order to be able to train and then infer, which is really good for advertisers. They're looking at your posting, and Zuckerberg's company is able to tell what your posting is in terms of what intrigues people, and then slots in an ad that your posting is basically triggering. That is their AI. That's why their AI is so strong. But it doesn't work if you don't have all the chips. That's why I think that they are doing and are well ahead of everybody else. Snap doesn't have that. Reddit doesn't have that. Pinterest doesn't have that. Only Instagram has it and Facebook has it, which is why I think that if you just came to the club and you wanted a stock that you should buy, even though it's up, you should make that stock Meta. Secondly, I would make it AMD because they have the chips that fill in the hole. And please don't forget Disney. This is Jim Cramer